Good morning, minions, and welcome to this week's episode of No More Mr. Fat Guy TV. Now, we're on to week 3 of our progression through the alphabet, so that takes us to the letter C. And so the word that I've chosen for this week's video discussion is clarity. Now, the word clarity has quite a lot of particular special meaning for me personally. It's quite relevant and very relevant to the journey that I've been on myself. Particularly the last 9 months, but certainly it's something that can be applied and can summarise these aspects for the last 2 years at least. Now, if we actually go back to really the beginning of where it all started for me personally, I think a lot of the problems and issues that built up over the years were actually due to a lack of clarity. They're actually a lack of any clear direction in life, a lack of any clear purpose, and certainly a lack of sort of a clear vision of where things were going to go and how I wanted life to be. And that really sort of, so that, as I've blogged about and written about and spoken about before, that really started when sort of like childhood dreams were sort of taken away unexpectedly because of when I discovered that the hearing loss and failed the Navy medical and that kind of thing. Instead of replacing something, there was actually a very crystal clear vision of where life was headed at that point. And once that was taken away, it was never really replaced. What replaced it was actually just a very fuzzy worldview, a very sort of a chaotic situation really, because I was left with a situation where I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so what happened is that just random events and really just life just started happening to me instead of there being any real sort of life plan. And that's really the danger of not having that clear vision, without having that clarity. Is that given a lack of that, it just gets filled with whatever comes along. It just gets filled with the noise of life, and so really, what happens next is that depending on how long that gets left in that situation, that accumulates and life just happens to you. You sort of muddle through. You probably never achieve anything. You probably have a growing sense of frustration. You probably end up in some kind of situation where you feel that you want to make changes. Now, the only way to get out of that, the only way to actually start making changes from that situation is to develop some kind of clarity and to get some kind of focus, to get some kind of clear vision. Now, for me personally, what happened is if you've been following the blog and the Facebook page and everything for any amount of time, you'll know that there was a very specific goal was set. That there was this fitness and sort of health and fitness goal, but it was very clearly defined as being able to to be fit enough to complete a marathon. Now, that was obviously a very specific goal. That was a very specific outcome that I could aim for, and that really did give me a very clear focus. It gave me something very specific to actually aim for, and I think once you sort of get lost in a sea of confusion, once you sort of start getting lost in sort of life in general, that along the way you or rather to get back out of that, you really need to have something that acts as a bit of a beacon, something that you can start aiming for and start navigating your way back into sort of like calmer waters and into the situations that you'd rather be in than the ones that you're actually in at the moment. So for me, that was, again, as I say, the marathon really provided that clear focus. It gave me something very specific to aim for. But also, as part of the actual training, as part the amount of time that I spent on the road with my own thoughts, what I found was that gave me ample time, really, to sort of start navel gazing, to really sort of dig deep inside and start digging up, some of those things that are just that stuff that had accumulated sort of over sort of 25 years in my case. And obviously, you know, whatever situation you're in, the time and the actual issues that are involved are going to vary. But whether you're going to go on long runs on a Sunday, whether you're going to, you know, whether you're going to join a yoga class and just spend a few hours a week literally navel gazing, whether you're going to go and sit on a mountaintop and be a hermit for a while, whatever process you're going to go through, you know, if you've got that accumulation of stuff, you really need to begin that process of digging in, you know, trying to stir it up a bit and bring it to the surface so that you can literally clear it away, you know, deal with it, face it, clear it away. Because while that's all there, you know, it's still going to be sort of holding you back. It's still going to be clouding the issue. It's still going to be preventing you from getting that clear vision of where you want to go in life, because it's just going to hold you down. It's going to be, you know, it's going to weigh you down. It's going to pull you back. And it's literally just, you know, it's going to be your stuff that's just getting in your way. Now, once you go through that process, which, you know, for me was a couple of years, for you it could be a couple of weeks, it could be a couple of months, you know, it may be longer, maybe shorter. But once those things start coming up, once you start dealing with them, the interesting thing with this whole, I think that there's kind of like a chain reaction that comes with this the whole clarity idea. There's this sort of, you know, clear vision. Is that once you actually start getting clear on one thing, and not only get clear on that one thing, but actually start moving towards it and start achieving that, you know, and actually achieve it. The knock-on effect is that internally, you sort of suddenly get this realization. You get this sort of like you know, another light bulb moment where you realize that, you know, hey, I did this. You know, I sort of set out on a course, sort of worked out how to get there, faced challenges along the way, and actually arrived at the destination. You know, sort of ticked it off, job done. But you know, there's this sense of achievement that makes you realise that if I can do this, then you know, what else can I do, and you know, what other aspects of my life can I actually sort out? So I think once you've actually you know, sort of started plotting that course to a specific goal, and once you've started digging in and digging down and figuring out who you are, figuring out where you've come from, I mean, that's actually a very important thing to do, I think. In order to sort of work out where you're going to, it's quite important to figure out who you are and where you've come from, you know, how you got here, where you are today, you know, whether that's what you actually wanted or not, and if it isn't what you want, then, you know, why did it happen? And once those things start making sense, you start getting a bit clearer on the things to avoid, you know, as you move forward, but not only the things to avoid, but also you start getting realizations that maybe, like certainly in my case, you start getting realizations that your life may so far have been about how to say, really maybe more about the things that you don't want your life to be. That you sort of, I think a lot of us are actually pretty good at knowing that, you know, we don't want this and we don't want that, and you know, like we don't want to be poor, and we don't want a bad job, and we don't want, you know, we don't want a bad relationship, we don't want, you know, with so many things that we know that we don't want. And the funny thing is that a lot of us end up with a lot of those things. I don't know whether you can get into the whole law of attraction type stuff and say that because people are focusing on you know, what they don't want, you know, that's actually what they end up, because they're focusing on those things. But however it works, whether that's true, whether that's a pseudoscience, whether it's just a philosophy, you know, it does seem to be the fact that most people spend most of their life with a clear vision of what they don't want. And quite often actually end up with those very things. What I've found in recent times is that, let's say, you start making those changes, and you've sort of cleared your own path a little bit, and you start making that progress forward. That say that momentum builds up, and then you start getting that clarity around, it's not even a case necessarily, I don't think, I think it's actually, you should not just plan around sort of, the things that you might want, but I think it's about knowing how you want life to be. I think it's about knowing how you want your experiences to be. I think feelings come into it an awful lot. I mean, how do you want life to feel? How do you want your relationships to feel? How would you like your job to feel? I mean, when I think, if you're thinking cold sort of terms like, I'd like to have this job that pays, so many $1,000s a year, that gives me this opportunity and that opportunity, and maybe have this holiday every year, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's all well and good, but it's just cold hard facts. And what I've found personally is that as I've started thinking about where I want life to go, and as I've started thinking about the kind of things I want to achieve, that I think more in terms of the quality of that life. If I think in terms of how that feels, how I'd like to feel when I wake up in the morning, how I'd like to feel when I go to bed at night, how I'd like to feel at every moment in between. How does it feel to come into the office and to sit down and start a day's work? How does it feel, to write a blog article? How does it feel to maybe tell a small audience about my story? So once you start getting a sense of how you want life to feel, I think that starts to make a lot more sense, because it's not just a series of milestones, and you're not just setting out, sort of just these, basic things that you want. You actually, you're also thinking about how you want them to impact your life, and the overall shape and the quality of that life. And I think that then leads to, say, even greater clarity. It gives you a far more crystal clear vision of how life should be, how you want it to be. And once you get that, you really lock on to that, because once you get that feeling inside, it's harder to let go than just chasing something as a simple goal. And I think once you start digging into it that deeply, it really embeds itself as part of your overall personal development process, and will really begin to take you to places that you sort of probably long ago stopped dreaming about. So I think really if I could say anything, or rather say one, I mean, obviously I can say anything I like, but if I could say one thing to anybody really, and regardless of situation, regardless of what they're trying to do, is that first and foremost you're going to have to, I think, whatever situation you're in, wherever you're trying to go, pick something very clear, very concise, something very specific, and use that as your beacon. Use that as your way to start navigating out the current situation. But along the way, use that. Use the successes that you achieve, and use the progress that you make to sort of as a positive feedback loop to actually. To make yourself realise that you can make one change, or you can make a series of changes. You can change anything you like. It's just a case of making that decision, and then once that momentum starts building up, get some really good crystal clear sort of vision and clarity around exactly not just a goal, not just a specific career goal, but really start fleshing out and examining how you would like your entire life to be. From the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you go to bed at night, and even perhaps the quality and type of dreams that you have. Let that build up inside. Let that become a real sort of fully formed, three-dimensional dream that you not only see and you can not only sort of smell, but you can also sort of hear, and you can almost touch and taste as well. And once you build it up to that kind of level, you go onto automatic pilot sometimes. I mean that will just act as the central compass for your life itself, and will start taking you forward, and will, you'll just see life start unfolding in front of you, and you'll be absolutely amazed at the some of the effects that it will have and how quickly it can happen. So so that to me is clarity. I hope that was clear for you. I'd love to see you all start discussing this on the page, on the blog, or contact me via email if you feel that you don't have that kind of clarity in your life at the moment, and you'd perhaps like to. Then again, just talk about it on the page, and if I can't help you, then there will be other people that can. Or perhaps I can put you in touch with coaches or whatever it is, and together we'll get through this thing called life, and and we'll make everybody's life amazing, and the world will be a happier place. So on that note, I'll speak to you next week, and have a great weekend. Bye now.